Let's play some baseball while I talk about a bit about Onision, because I've been recently following his drama, which I gotta say I haven't. I used to watch Onision a bit back in the day. I never liked his kids; thought they were kind of cringy, but I used to like his commentary bits that he made with Sarah, and he was always an asshole in those. But I like that. I like jerky humor. Um, so I was fine with those. But then, just a short bit after I came to know the guy and his channel, I started seeing all the shit that people were saying about him, all the things that were happening in his personal life, and partly a lot of it was just people making drama bits about him, and a lot of it came from himself and his blogs, inviting people into his real life and sharing his views on relationship and all that, which I think really has been his downfall, because I think Onision, really, and the kind of content that he used to make, and he's a funny dude. I'll say this, he can make funny stuff, and if Onision has never invited people into his life, and he just would have been a YouTuber that just made his content and kept his life private and all that stuff, and had some moderation, because he actually went overboard, which I'll talk about a little later. But if he just did all that, people would not have a problem with him, and he would probably be if he had remained on a stable course, he'd probably be one of the biggest YouTubers now, because he was pretty OG, you know. He used to make semi-decent good content, and he had the subs for it. He had a following for it, and he could have been still edgy and all that. I'm not saying that he completely had to change his personality or whatever, but that thing about his personal life just overshadowed everything that he has done. It really has, to the point, and now it's come to the point where he's gonna be probably investigated by Chris Hansen for sharing all that. And I remember, like I said, discovering the guy and watching his content and thinking he's kind of funny. And then watching that series that he made about the young girls and their bodies, and he was talking about, oh, you know, you're too fat, or you're the hair here, just really shallow vein stuff. And these girls would just send them their pics, and sometimes they would be on their underwear. Sometimes, it was just so creepy, and I wish those girls were mature enough to know that they shouldn't have done that. But I really can't fault them, but I can't fault him, because he's a grown-ass man doing that, exploiting his fan base for that kind of content. And it's okay if you use your fan base for content, like, I don't know, Jack Films, where he gets a lot of feedback for his content, and he kind of uses his fans for content. But using your underage female fans for that kind of content was so scummy to me, that actually I think that was the main turn off, that I stopped watching his vids. And then I found out, and then, you know, you start to hear things more about him, and then he kind of hooked up with, okay, let me do this one. You kind of find out that he kind of met his husband, or
You're scoring.
then you start to find out that, and then I started to find out that he hooked up with this person, his husband or whatever, that Kai person. And I'm glad that he found that person, because they seem to, I think they're still married. They're probably together for a long time. Like, I don't want that dude to not have a relationship. I don't want him to be miserable. That's all fine. And he could even have open relationship, because there's people that do that, right? But after that, he met like three or four more girls that.
All right, ease up, ease up.
After that, he met like three or four more girls, and they added, and supposedly he mistreated them, or he did a lot of controlling stuff to them.
Now batting, third base.
And
Miguel.
if I might be wrong, but I think some of those girls have said that they were talking to him when they were like 14 and 15 when they first discovered him. So he was like grooming them until they were old enough to do something with him, or he can be involved with them.
The first baseman.
And it always felt like it always feels, or the way it's portrayed, it always feels like he was using them, because I think that Onision sort of became like Michael Jackson or R. Kelly, in the sense that these are people that amount to a lot of popularity, amount to a fan base, and just because they did that, they're in a position that they can take advantage of all their fans, especially girls. And I just find that to be so scummy, man, because just because you can doesn't mean you should, and you should always have a conscience. I mean, power is a very tricky thing. You never know what it's gonna turn you into, right? I understand that, but you should always be careful about it, because against you lose your conscience over it. The thing that tells you this thing is not right, and you shouldn't be doing this, or you shouldn't be indulging this part of you, because just because you're famous and can do all that shit and get away with it doesn't mean you should. I mean, you should have some common decency, and when you're that famous, nobody around you is gonna stop you. Most of them are gonna indulge you and live and actually help you live out those power fantasies of yours, and that's very dangerous. And that somebody has to check that. And even though I don't wish ill will on nobody, and even him, Onision, because I would wish he would rather change that than to actually go to jail over an investigation. This investigation is probably the only thing that could stop him, because he seems like the sort of guy that just doesn't give a fuck about what he does. And really, all the things that he has done, I don't know if they're jail worthy so far, but they're definitely shitty. They definitely have been shitty, especially how he treats those girls, and especially how he handles those girls. That one day he likes them, and then something happens to them, and then he goes to the internet and totally trashes them, and then he goes into this mode that he starts apologizing to them, and it's so weird, man. It doesn't feel real that a person could do that. Yeah, he doesn't have doesn't have a conscience or something, some rational thought that actually tells him to not do this, man. Or it feels like he sort of put his conscience on vacation so he can garner more drama and more fame, and it's not good. It's not good, because it's probably gonna, culminate in this investigation. And if he gets sent to jail, a lot of people are gonna be so happy, and they're gonna make a lot of videos on him. Honestly, I wish it has. Honestly, I wish it doesn't come to that. It's a little disappointing, because I think the dude is talented, or he can potentially be a good YouTuber if he just kept himself in check.